Emperor Thanavel stood before the vast viewport of his flagship, watching as another transport filled with undesirables departed toward the void. His scaled hands clasped behind his back, he observed the procession with cold satisfaction. The Vorthak Empire would be pure again, cleansed of those who dared to think differently. "How many ships this cycle?" he asked his aide, not bothering to turn around. 73, my lord," came the nervous reply. "Carrying approximately 50,000 dissidents, criminals, and genetic aberrants." The Emperor nodded slowly. For generations, the Empire had maintained order through rigid hierarchies and absolute conformity. Those who questioned the system, who showed defective traits or who simply failed to meet imperial standards were cast out into space with minimal supplies. Most died within weeks. The few who survived served as a warning to others. And their destination? The usual vector: excellency, deep space far from any imperial worlds. But this time would be different. This time the outcasts had hope. Captain Maria Santos received the transmission while her ship, the New Horizon, patrolled the edge of human space. The message was weak, fragmented, but unmistakably a distress call from multiple sources. "Captain," her communications officer, called out, "I'm picking up at least 70 ships on long-range sensors. They're broadcasting in multiple languages, but the universal translator is catching fragments. They're asking for help." Maria studied the tactical display. The ships were clearly not warships. They were transports, poorly maintained and showing signs of severe overcrowding. Life support readings were critical across the entire fleet. "Any sign of pursuit?" "Negative, Captain. They appear to be alone." Maria had heard the stories from other human patrol ships. The Vorthak Empire had been dumping their unwanted populations into the void for decades, assuming they would simply die forgotten deaths in the darkness between stars. But the Empire had made one crucial miscalculation. They had never encountered humanity before. "Send a response on all frequencies," Maria ordered. "Tell them they're safe now. We're bringing them home." Ambassador Keksai had been the first to speak out against the Empire's treatment of the working castes. Her reward was exile aboard the cramped transport Last Hope, along with 300 other political dissidents. For 6 weeks they had drifted through space, rationing water and breathing recycled air that grew fouler by the day. When the human ships appeared on their sensors, many aboard feared it was another Imperial trick. But as the sleek vessels approached with running lights instead of weapon locks, hope began to kindle in hearts that had almost forgotten the feeling. The first human they encountered was different from anything Keksai had expected. Captain Santos was neither tall nor imposing, but she carried herself with quiet confidence as she materialized on their transport's bridge via matter transfer. "I'm Captain Maria Santos of the Earth Defense Force," she said, her voice clear despite the translator's mechanical tone. "We received your distress call. Are there others?" Keksai found her voice. 73 ships, 50,000 souls, all of us cast out by the Empire." Santos nodded grimly. "Then we have work to do." Within hours, the human fleet had organized a rescue operation, unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Medical ships tended to the sick and malnourished. Engineering vessels restored failing life support systems. Supply ships distributed food, water, and medicine without asking for payment or allegiance. But most remarkably, the humans offered something the outcasts had never expected to find again: acceptance. Dr. James Wright worked alongside a Vorthak medic named Silron, whose only crime had been developing treatments for genetic conditions the Empire considered impure. As they tended to a young refugee, Wright asked, "What will you do now? Do you have anywhere to go?" Silron's translated voice carried deep uncertainty. "We are nothing now, outcasts. No world will accept us." Wright looked up from his patient, his eyes filled with determination. "Earth will." 3 months later, Emperor Thanavel received a report that shattered his understanding of the galaxy. Not only had the latest group of exiles survived, they were thriving. They had been taken to a world called Earth, where they were offered citizenship, employment, And most disturbing of all, hope. This is impossible, he snarled, crushing the data tablet in his claws. These humans dare to interfere with imperial justice? His intelligence minister, a nervous creature named Voltex, cleared his throat. My lord, it appears the humans have been collecting our exiles for some time. They've established entire colonies for refugees from various empires. How many? Conservative estimates suggest over 2 million beings, Excellency, from dozens of different species. The Emperor's eyes blazed with fury. These humans were not just harboring criminals and defects, they were creating an entire civilization from the galaxy's unwanted. It was an insult to everything the Empire represented. Prepare the fleet, he commanded. We'll show these humans what happens to those who defy Imperial will. But as the Imperial Armada approached Earth's solar system, they encountered something unexpected. The defensive fleet that met them was not composed solely of human vessels. Ships of Vorthak design flew alongside human cruisers. Zilani fighters, supposedly extinct after their homeworld's rebellion was crushed, darted between the formation. Even the dreaded Konari, warrior philosophers banished for their dangerous ideas, stood ready to defend their new home. Admiral Chen Wei addressed the Imperial fleet from her flagship. Behind her on the bridge stood representatives of 47 different species, all of them former outcasts, now serving as Earth's defenders. Emperor Thainval, she said calmly, you are not welcome in this system. Turn back now. You harbor criminals and degenerates, came the reply. Return them to face Imperial justice or we will take them by force. Chen smiled, gesturing to her diverse crew. These people aren't criminals, Emperor. They're teachers, doctors, engineers, artists, and philosophers. They're the ones who dared to dream of something better than your empire. And now, they're citizens of Earth. The battle that followed was brief, but decisive. The Imperial fleet found itself facing not just advanced human technology, but innovations created by the greatest minds their own empire had cast aside, weapons designed by banished scientists, tactics developed by exiled military geniuses, strategies crafted by philosophers who understood that true strength came from unity, not oppression. As his flagship burned around him, Emperor Thainval realized the magnitude of his mistake. For centuries, the Empire had thrown away its most valuable resources, the very people who could have made it great. This is Admiral Chen Wei to all Imperial vessels, came the transmission. Your Emperor's war is over. Any of you who wish asylum on Earth are welcome to stay. Any who wish to return home may do so with our guarantee of safe passage. When the survivors limped back to Imperial space, they carried with them stories that would spread like wildfire across the Empire. Stories of a world where outcasts became heroes, where diversity was strength, and where no one was ever truly alone. Within a generation, the stream of Imperial exiles had become a flood of voluntary immigrants. People no longer waited to be banished. They left willingly, seeking the promise that Earth represented. The Empire had tried to dispose of its problems by casting them into space. Instead, humanity had gathered those discarded souls and forged them into something magnificent, a civilization built not on conformity, but on the radical idea that everyone deserved a chance to belong.